2020 is almost finally over, and with the shift from the old year to the new one comes the opportunity to reflect on what's been and maybe set goals for the coming one. I've been fortunate enough to spend a few of the past New Years abroad, and I think that in a way that could help you reflect even more on your life as you get a little bit of a distance to it and you can look at it with a clear view. This New Year's Eve I'm obviously spending at home in Sweden, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about my previous trips that have taken time during New Year's Eve. Let's begin in 2011. In 2011 I was in the second year of high school, and my friend Linus told me about this trip he was taking for New Year's, and he asked me to come. It was a trip that he was doing with a couple of friends to Berlin, Germany. I had never been to Germany, and of course I took the opportunity to go. This trip was very far from what you may imagine when you think of a group of teenagers going to spend New Year's in Berlin. It was a church trip. Every year there is something called a European youth meeting somewhere in Europe. It's organized by brothers and sisters from monasteries in France, and it takes place once a year for young adults. And in the new year 2011-12 it was held in Berlin. So me and this group of friends, we took a bus and a ferry down to Berlin, where we stayed with the host family and we got to visit a lot of different churches. We went to church meetings and we did some sightseeing. We also got to just hang out a lot and we became kind of close. So the next year, when the same meeting was held in Rome, Italy, of course I went again. This time we went there by train, and that took us many hours, but we had such an amazing time along the way. And again, we got to see a lot of different churches. We even went to the Vatican and saw the Pope one day. We did a lot of sightseeing. We went up on a hill to watch the views. Again, it was this amazing opportunity to take a break from life and just enjoy. And also the weather was so much better there than it was at home at the time. The year after, in 2013, I had graduated high school, and one of my best friends, Julia, was studying abroad for a year in New York, and I went to visit her for 2 weeks during New Year's. We rented a room in an apartment in Manhattan and we just roamed the streets. It was really cold, but we still went to the zoo, we went to the cinema, we of course saw a musical on Broadway, we kinda went to see the Statue of Liberty. We spent a lot of time in cafes and restaurants, eating and drinking hot beverages, and we saw some of her friends from school. In the year 2017-18, I traveled for a full year, and for New Year's I happened to be in Zimbabwe's capital, Harare. I stayed with a wonderful couchsurfing host, Ariane, who was a Dutch expat working for an NGO there. She lived in this amazing castle where she had a pool, she had chicken in the garden, and we just had such a good time visiting art museums, visiting a national park, going for a walking tour. But unfortunately, for New Year's Eve, I was down with a bad food poisoning. So I was in bed all night and I had my alarm set for like 11:59 when I went up and outside to the party that Ariana was hosting. I lit a sparkle and then I went back to bed. It was really sad. And finally, last year I celebrated in Wrocław in Poland. It was again a youth meeting organized by the same monastery. We got to stay with this amazing host family that taught us how to make Polish food. We went to a Christmas market that was still open. We did some sightseeing, and all of this with an amazing group of old and new friends. I am so grateful for all of these experiences I've had, and I look forward to more New Year's abroad in the future. This year, as I said, I'm stuck here, but I'm still going to reflect a little bit, and one thing I know that I'm going to put down is that I hope for more traveling during 2021.